After 5 centuries of speculation, one of humanity's oldest mysteries may have finally begun to unravel. High in the eastern mountains of Turkey, researchers detected a formation that eerily resembles the hull of a ship, mirroring the precise measurements attributed to Noah's Ark in ancient scripture. However, when scientists probed beneath the ground using sophisticated ground-penetrating radar, what they uncovered was not a myth. It appeared to be structure, frames, chambers, traces of organic matter. Now, following years of uncertainty, the Ark may be starting to give up its secrets. Yet what is coming to light is not reassurance from the heavens, it is something considerably more alarming. A silent warning etched into the mountain itself, perhaps revealed just before it is too late. Unearthing the boat-shaped formation. In October of 1959, İlhan Darupınar, a captain in the Turkish military, was reviewing NATO aerial images of remote northeastern Turkey when an anomaly caught his eye. A distinct boat-shaped imprint nestled within the rocky slopes of Mount Tenderek, approximately 29 kilometers south of Mount Ararat, the mountain referenced in biblical lore. Measuring close to 538 feet in length, or around 164 meters, the feature displayed an astonishingly symmetrical and curved profile, almost too precise to be natural. The region had endured the violent earthquakes of 1948, followed by heavy seasonal rainfall, both of which contributed to parts of the mound becoming exposed. Its outline hinted at something unbelievable, a vessel marooned at high altitude, far from any waterways. The structure is situated in Ara province, a mere 3 kilometers from the Iranian border, perched at nearly 2,000 meters above sea level. It is now referred to as the Darupınar site, in honor of its discoverer. Up close, it looks like an elongated ridge, but from an aerial perspective, the resemblance to a ship is unmistakable. Residents of the nearby village of Uzungili recalled legends describing an odd shape emerging in the mountain following seismic disturbances. Early researchers observed that its proportions appeared disturbingly similar to those found in ancient writings, particularly the Book of Genesis. That account, over 2,000 years old, records the Ark's dimensions as 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Based on one interpretation of the cubit, approximately 52.4 centimeters, the total length would be 157 meters, a mere 7 meters shorter than the full span of the Darupınar formation. For generations, scholars believed the Ark narrative to be allegorical or symbolic, yet suddenly there was a real geographical feature matching it, not with remnants or artifacts, but with silent accuracy in shape and dimension. Interest from archaeologists surged throughout the 1960s and 1970s as Turkish teams and visiting American experts initiated preliminary evaluations. Some dismissed it as a natural syncline, a rock fold carved by geological forces. Others sensed that deeper investigation was necessary. In 1987, Ron Wyatt, alongside Turkish representatives, performed initial metal detection studies and surface testing, reporting irregularities beneath the topsoil. Still, because no formal excavation took place, the site remained shrouded in uncertainty. Nevertheless, that outline, so defined, so reminiscent of a vessel, continued to capture imagination. The external form was intriguing, but it was only the threshold of the mystery. What researchers found hidden below the terrain would turn out to be even more unsettling. As imaging technology advanced and further soil samples were gathered decades later, a disturbing picture began to surface. Darupınar was not merely shaped like a ship. Its interior composition, chemical makeup, and structural hints suggested a design that random geological activity could hardly produce. It was as if the mountain whispered an ancient truth, possibly preserving a fragment from a disaster beyond memory. Revelations from within the mound. Beginning in 2019, a modern research group known as Noah's Ark Scans initiated detailed analysis of the Darupınar site with advanced equipment. Their most astonishing breakthrough did not come from excavation, but from digital interpretation. Ground-penetrating radar and resistivity imaging detected rectangular hollow zones, stratified compartments, and channel-like passages embedded deep within the mound, lying beneath 6 to 8 meters of soil. These features did not appear to be random formations. Several of them ran parallel or intersected at precise right angles, with widths between 2 and 4 meters and vertical space consistent with areas that could theoretically be inhabited. Soil specimens taken from 2022 to 2024 uncovered another anomaly. Organic matter within the mound was nearly triple that of the surrounding land. Laboratory testing indicated elevated potassium and phosphorus, along with anomalously low pH levels. These are typical markers of decomposing timber or other organic substances long since decayed. The interior was not simply rock. It had behaved like a natural archive, preserving chemical echoes of something that had once existed there. Despite countless years of erosion, the indicators persisted. Adding to the mystery, embedded marine sediments were found within the soil samples. These included traces of clay typical of seabeds, microscopic shell particles, and salt residue consistent with prolonged submersion. Yet the site stands almost 2,000 meters above sea level. For such materials to be present, either an immense flood must have surged high enough to transport sea remnants into the region, or the object itself could have originated from a lower elevation before being displaced. Either scenario points toward an ancient and violent event involving oceanic forces. The greatest shock came with radiocarbon dating. Independent laboratories evaluated material from various depths within the formation, consistently finding ages between 3,500 and 5,000 years, correlating with the era referenced in Mesopotamian flood narratives and early Bronze Age cultures. While this does not confirm definitive authenticity, the convergence of organic decay, geometric internal patterns, and marine traces strongly implies that something remarkable once occupied this place, something untouched by time. The evidence accumulated steadily: internal structure, layers, organic decomposition, deep water residue. But it was not only the discoveries themselves. It was how precisely they corresponded with the most well-known flood narrative in recorded lore. The next logical step was evaluation through measurement. To compare, when researchers compared the mound's metrics with ancient descriptions, the figures spoke louder than artifacts ever could. A vessel preserved in storytelling across generations now appeared to echo through the landscape of a secluded mountain. Dimensions and structural correlation. The Darupanar Formation spans roughly 538 feet, or 164 meters. Based on prevalent calculations of the ancient cubit, the biblical ark described in Genesis would have measured about 157 meters in length, 26 in width, and 15 in height. The similarity is striking. From base to top, measurements at the mound fall within a margin of just 4 to 5%. The exact depth of the formation may be uncertain, but present estimates show a degree of convergence greater than many modern reconstructions of the ark. Scans carried out between 2019 and 2023 indicate divisions resembling 3 stacked sections, mirroring the lower, middle, and upper decks described in Genesis 6:16. A continuous longitudinal channel was also detected running along the center of the site, suggestive of a corridor. The structure does not display the haphazard formation typical of sedimentary folds. Instead, it exhibits characteristics associated with intended design, reminiscent of a ship's internal skeleton. From an engineering perspective, such findings surpass the threshold of coincidence. Drone and satellite analyses further reinforce the case. The projection of Darupanar resembles the hull of a marine vessel, widest at the center, narrowing toward each end, and manifesting symmetry that nature rarely produces without external influence. Geologists argue that this phenomenon is purely a consequence of tectonic folding, whereas many archaeologists and structural specialists highlight how rarely such precision emerges in natural formations. Computer-generated 3D models show clear resemblance to waterborne structures designed to maneuver efficiently, indicative not of randomness, but of deliberate shaping. The elevation adds another inexplicable element. Situated at 1,980 meters above sea level, the formation exists far above any known prehistorical river or sea level. The implication is not that it was built at this location, but that it may have arrived here and come to rest. If it truly is a vessel, then this mountain became its final resting ground and possibly its final message. The unsettling realization. As analysis of the internal scans between 2019 and 2023 became public, global perspective began to shift. If the hollow spaces and pathways observed within the Darupanar mound are genuine structural elements and not simply geological distortions, then what lies beneath the soil may not be a natural phenomenon shaped by environmental physics. It may be a constructed vessel, fossilized and buried for more than 4 millennia. Such a discovery would represent one of the oldest human-made structures ever documented. The presence of highly concentrated organic matter and continuing chemical breakdown, potassium elevation, pH fluctuation, and carbon residue suggest that something composed of biological materials, likely wood, once existed and subsequently disintegrated over centuries. Researchers noted that the pattern of decay aligns with the decomposition of large timber supports, possibly planks or beams, that broke down gradually over time. The soil chemistry acts like a negative image, preserving the memory of what was once present even after visible traces disappeared. The finding of marine particles and shells embedded within the internal sediment is particularly troubling. These materials are extraordinarily uncommon at such altitude and strongly imply an extensive flood or seawater incursion powerful enough to carry oceanic debris into the mountain. These were not recent artifacts or results of modern landslides. The layering and salt particle configuration matched those documented in tsunami impact regions. The central question shifted from whether this could be the Ark to something far more profound. If these structural and chemical markers are accurate, then some group from antiquity likely survived a catastrophic event and built a vessel to preserve living beings, supplies, or history itself. Regardless of belief systems, the implications were profound. We may be standing above a petrified monument of survival during humanity's darkest era. What has been uncovered is not treasure, not bones, nor ancient tools. It is the quiet residue of endurance. The potential significance of what lies underneath stirred not only the academic communities, but millions of minds across the world. Yet as interest grew, division deepened. Belief clashed with skepticism. Spiritual conviction confronted empirical evidence. As debate intensified among scientists and religious scholars, the significance of Durupinar evolved beyond simple discovery. It became a battlefield between legend and logic, between what society desires to believe and what it can substantiate. Myth, belief, and scientific inquiry. The narrative of Noah's Ark is prevalent across Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, each recounting the tale of a great flood, a divine instruction, and a vessel built to preserve life. In all these traditions, the Ark is more than transportation. It stands as a symbol of salvation, reckoning, and renewal. The Durupinar location, just 29 kilometers from Mount Ararat, coincides with Genesis 8:4, which states that the Ark came to rest upon the mountains of Ararat. For many people of faith, that detail alone suggests confirmation, but science is ruled not by conviction, and conviction is not the same as empirical truth. Geologists reviewing the area have long argued alternative explanations. They contend that the formation is likely a synclinal fold, the result of sedimentary layers bending under geological pressure. Earthquakes, deep-seated tremors, and mudslides, they claim, could easily produce an elongated ridge that mimics the appearance of a ship over millions of years. Some experts from Istanbul Technical University in 1988 concluded that the rock composition relates to local volcanic activity rather than historical carpentry. In response, the Noah's Ark Scans group urged restraint. They have not officially labeled the Durupinar site as the Ark, but as an area displaying profound anomalies, characterized by internal layering, elevated organic decay, and structural alignments warranting further study. Their public statements since 2020 emphasize that their findings are indicative, not definitive, and that without excavation, confirmation remains unattainable. Interpretation, even with excavation, may continue to vary. Media response has intensified the controversy. Sensational outlets proclaim Ark discovered, while scientific journals remain cautious, skeptical, and frequently critical. Still, the tension only fuels fascination. For if this mound is natural, then nature has demonstrated astonishing precision in imitating engineering. And if it is not natural, then a memory once dismissed as myth could indeed document a genuine global disaster preserved physically in the terrain. As debate intensified, researchers turned to modern technology, abandoning early digging attempts. The most sophisticated tools of the 21st century replaced shovels, offering a chance to reveal without destruction. The capabilities now available far exceed anything imagined in the 1950s. And through these advancements, evidence began to materialize, not from belief, but through measurable data. Technological breakthroughs, unlocking what lies beneath. Over the past 5 years, dramatic advances in technology have reshaped how experts approach the Darupanar Formation. Beginning in 2019, researchers turned to non-invasive analysis, utilizing ground-penetrating radar and resistivity imaging capable of probing depths of up to 12 meters without physically disturbing the site. These high-precision scans offered scientists the ability to virtually unveil the interior of the mound. What they discovered was not a random collection of hollows, but spatial patterns that appeared intentional. Spaces, manifested in consistent forms, arranged in ways that suggested design rather than chance. Soil chemistry reinforced these findings. In samples evaluated between 2022 and 2023, analysts noted consistent indicators of organic decay aligned with long decomposed timber. Elevated potassium levels, identifiable carbon isotopes, and shifted soil acidity were discovered across nearly all core sample locations. These were not isolated biological traces. Instead, they formed a gradient, highest near the middle and diminishing outward, mimicking the decay signature of a large organic structure once situated within, gradually eroding with time. Software improvements also played a pivotal role. Engineers repurposed AI-based pattern recognition, often used for city archaeology, to reassess previous scan data from the 1980s and 1990s. Structural alignments overlooked decades prior began to emerge. Imaging systems commonly used in urban excavation were tailored specifically for Darupanar, allowing full 3D visual mapping. These virtual models revealed internally organized sections that bore resemblance to frameworks, curved external ribs, and traversable passageways. Despite these compelling signals, physical excavation continues to be postponed. The area sits within an active seismic zone and withstands severe winters, with temperatures plummeting below -20 degrees Celsius. Interference risks destabilizing or permanently damaging the formation. Therefore, current efforts prioritize non-destructive exploration. With each wave of technological enhancement, clarity increases. Darupanar is not merely an odd geological feature. It behaves like a sealed vault, preserved not by walls but by layers of undisturbed time. A message from antiquity embedded in silence. Implications. If proven authentic, should the Darupanar mound be conclusively identified as an engineered structure, the impact on archaeology, theology, and societal understanding would be substantial. First, it would drastically alter the historical timeline of shipbuilding. A vessel over 164 meters long, with multiple levels and potentially dated near 3000 BCE, would signal that human innovation vastly exceeded previously documented Bronze Age capabilities. Historians would be forced to reconsider assumptions regarding technological evolution. Second, confirmation would lend weight to ancient flood accounts, presenting them not purely as metaphor, but as historical recollections. From the Epic of Gilgamesh around 2100 BCE to the Genesis narrative and Quranic accounts, stories of a world-changing flood span vast cultural geographies. If Darupanar contains physical remnants of such an event, it would prompt reevaluation of long-dismissed oral traditions. Flood-based geology may gain renewed legitimacy within scientific discourse. Third, religious implications cannot be understated. This would be the first time a major artifact referenced throughout Judaism, Christianity, and Islam is verified across disciplines. Beyond reinforcing faith, this could promote interreligious discussions focused on common ancestry and shared history. The site would likely draw a significant global pilgrimage, attracting millions annually and potentially being added to UNESCO's Protected Heritage Registry. Lastly, the emotional effect on modern society could be profound. If the Ark was a real vessel built to survive catastrophe, then the flood was a real disaster. This revelation raises existential questions. Could such an event reoccur? Was the original cause spiritual, geological, or astronomical? With present-day environmental crises escalating, the Ark may transition from a historical symbol of rescue to a cautionary metaphor for fragile civilizations. Landmark discoveries often exist on the edge of acceptance. Enthusiasm is counterbalanced by scrutiny. For every believer, there is a rationalist. For every professor theorizing authenticity, another warns restraint, questioning the evidence, skepticism, and scientific objections. Despite the intensifying global intrigue, many experts remain firmly unconvinced. Since the discovery in 1959, numerous geologists, including teams from Ankara University and California State University, Northridge, have classified the Darupanar structure as a geological syncline rather than a vessel. They claim the ship-like contour originates from mud flows, limonite deposits, and tectonic folding, inertia-based processes frequently observed in erosion-prone mountain regions. A critical issue persists. No direct artifact has yet been uncovered. No planks, no iron implements, no remnants of craftsmanship. Without tangible materials, proponents rely heavily on interpretive data, including GPR imagery and soil chemistry, methods that may produce false positive outcomes, particularly in mixed volcanic and flood sediment zones. Geologists further argue that marine residues might have arrived through prehistoric inland seas or ancient glacial meltwater events. These processes, potentially occurring thousands of years prior, have been documented across parts of Anatolia. Preservation concerns intensify skepticism. The elevation, combined with landslide risk, snow accumulation, and seismic instability, poses substantial challenges to safe excavation. In 2021, a minor earthquake fractured part of the structure, leading to fears that deterioration might precede conclusions. Exploratory drilling has been intermittently suspended throughout the analysis period. Previous announcements claiming discovery in 1987, 1994, and again in 2011 failed to deliver definitive evidence, raising concerns about premature declarations. Current investigative leaders warn that publicly declaring the site as Noah's Ark without peer-reviewed confirmation could alienate mainstream research institutions and jeopardize financial support. Caution is emphasized. Until exhaustive testing is conducted and artifact-based verification obtained, Darupanar must be treated as a possibility rather than proof. And yet, amid skepticism, something remarkable occurred. As imaging developments progressed, digital data began revealing what tools could not. Virtual techniques allowed researchers to enter areas that physical access could threaten. What they saw was neither disarray nor random fracture, but geometry, symmetry, alignment. In these internal renderings, traces emerged not of chaos, but of what appeared to be design. Digital penetration. The moment the interior was revealed, though physical excavation has not yet been implemented, Darupanar has already been probed in digital space. Through multiband ground-penetrating radar, 3D tomographic reconstruction, and resistivity mapping procedures, scientists from the Noah's Ark Scans project have built near-complete virtual interior models. The results were startling. The scans revealed tiered compartments, repeating vertical segments reminiscent of ribbing, and voids arranged in a pattern too consistent to dismiss. These were not uneven fault lines. They appeared architectural. In 2023, one especially compelling model illustrated a sequence of longitudinal beams, each spaced approximately 3.8 meters apart, interconnected by cross-sections at intervals of about 1.2 meters. These measurements closely resemble those needed for load-bearing reinforcement on multi-deck vessels. A central longitudinal passage, approximately 1.5 meters wide, was detected extending the full length of the mound. Combined with detected marine sediment and decomposed timber residue, the simulated structure aligns disturbingly well with the tri-level interior described in Genesis 6:16. An additional finding emerged from chemical sampling. Embedded compounds resembling polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, typically released during combustion of organic matter, were discovered in various layers within the formation. The implication was unnerving. Whatever once occupied that internal space may have been subjected to intense heat. Whether this indicates a fire, an act of ritual, or merely the effect of pressure and slow decomposition over time remains unknown. The most disquieting speculation arose from this synthesis of findings. If this is indeed a vessel, it was not simply built to sail, it was crafted to endure. The soil does not preserve bodies, artifacts, or metal remains. It preserves silence. Silence from something that once protected life, traveled through devastation, and rested in the mountain's embrace. After years of technological investigation and decades of debate, a single undisclosed element persists untouched. At the center, beyond the outer layers, deep within the heart of the formation lies the ultimate enigma. Humanity must now decide what comes next, whether to excavate, delay, or disengage. The decision could determine how future generations interpret this moment in history. For within that unbroken core may lie the oldest surviving account ever recorded. What still lies unrevealed. Despite accumulating analysis from 1959 to 2024, the heart of the Darupanar Mound remains inaccessible. The formation is intact, concealed beneath tightly condensed layers of soil, frozen deposits, and deep geological pressure. No full excavation has penetrated the central voids. That restraint is deliberate, a compromise between preservation, political concerns, and environmental factors. But it also confirms an unavoidable truth. Whatever lies beneath has not yet been exposed. The questions that remain unanswered linger. If this was a structure, who engineered it? If it is the Ark described in Genesis or a vessel from another forgotten civilization, what became of the people who constructed it? Could carvings, inscriptions, tools, or even biological remnants be present within the core? Or is the formation merely a geomorphic oddity, coincidentally reflecting our oldest cultural fear? The fate of this site may soon transition from lingering uncertainty to historical resolution, either validating the Ark hypothesis or closing one of the most intriguing geological mysteries on record. Yet even without final answers, Darupanar has already transformed discourse. It compels humanity to reconsider how early societies may have remembered global trauma. It suggests that history may be embedded deeper than convention recognizes. And it reminds us that, faced with disaster, some ancient people might have constructed more than stories. They may have built solutions. Whether metaphorical or literal, evidence persists. The stone retains its secret. The modern question then arises: what precisely do we do with this secluded mound? If this is Noah's Ark, it may represent humanity's first recorded interaction with prehistoric engineering, not merely an allegory but a transmission, preserved through time by the earth itself. And that transmission may not speak of deliverance. It may speak of endurance. It may testify to catastrophe faced and survived. It may prove that those who came before us did not simply tell tales. They left evidence of what the world becomes when pushed to the limits. We live in an age where floods rise once more, where temperatures climb and coastlines advance further each year. Perhaps the Ark was not meant solely for the past. Perhaps it was meant as a reminder that societies may collapse, yet they may also construct. When destruction comes, some carve their warnings into the very mountains. And now, our role is not to ignore, but to heed. Will we delve deeper, not just into the ground, but into our heritage, our beliefs, our cautions? Or will we turn away, dismissing it all as happenstance? For the greatest threat may not be what lies beneath the mound. The greatest danger may emerge from how willingly we refuse to answer it. Will we dig deeper, not just into the soil, but into our history, our myths, our warnings? Or will we walk away, claiming it's just coincidence? Because the real terror isn't what lies inside that mound. The real terror is what happens if we ignore it. So now the world waits between belief and evidence. If this formation is what ancient texts described, then history isn't just being rewritten, it's resurfacing. And the question is no longer what lies beneath. It's what happens if we ignore it. If this left you thinking, hit like, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more untold stories hidden beneath the surface of our world.